Hello, 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 everybody. How are you? It is Kenneth Overton, your host of Black Opera Live, sponsored by Black Opera Productions, LLC, producing the upcoming documentary entitled Black Opera. And I am so excited to be with you this evening that I hope that you are well and happy and safe and virus-free. And I am incredibly excited about this illustrious, gorgeous, amazing panel of beautiful artists that I have with me tonight. Tonight, we are featuring marvelously magnificent, amazing mezzos. Listen, not the sopranos, we've had them. Not the basses, we've had them. We getting into the luscious, gorgeous, juicy mezzos, baby. They do all the roles, honey, from princesses and gypsies and witches and queens and mamas and wives and everything in between. The mezzos are fantastic. One of my favorite voice parts ever, 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 ever. And we have count them, six gorgeous Black and brown women on this panel tonight that are doing it, that are making waves in this industry as we speak, before Corona, during Corona, and once it's over, be ready for this mezzo wave, huh? When I tell you, I'm going to briefly give you a little bit about each one of my guests before I bring them in the room, and then we're going to have some fun. We're going to chit chat and talk about their lives, where they come from, their careers, their hopes, dreams, and desires. So first, I am so excited to welcome Brianna Elise Hunter, described by the New York Times as a radiant mezzo-soprano, and Opera News as a mezzo-soprano of astounding vocal and dramatic range. She is rapidly emerging as an artist to watch. Her previous credits include Blue, one of the most highly anticipated premieres in the operatic canon today. She plays the mother in that by Janine Tesori, with libretto by Tazewell Thompson. Carmen in the title role of Carmen, as well as Mercedes, and Carmen in Le Tragédie de Carmen. Little Women as Joe, Xerxes, Die Fledermaus. She played the role of Prince Orlovsky, in the role of Hannah after in As One, and Flora in La Traviata. She won the 2008 Encore Michigan Wild Award for Best Performance in an Opera for her portrayal of Gertrude Stein in Ricky Ian Gordon's 27. She has been on the rosters of New York City Opera, Opera Theater of St. Louis, the Santa Fe Opera, Michigan Opera Theater, Knoxville Opera, Urban Arias in DC, American Opera Projects, Opera in the Heights, I Sing Beijing, baby, Sarasota Opera, El Paso Opera, and the Music Academy of the West, where she sang the title role of Carmen under the tutelage of the great Marilyn Horne. She recently made her Lincoln Center Theater debut in their gala performance of Camelot, starring in Lin-Manuel Miranda and directed by Bartlett Sher. Miss Hunter sits on the Artistic Advisory Council at American Opera Projects and the Davidson Arts and Creative Engagement Advisory Board at Davidson College. She continues to perform with and work as Director of Marketing and Communications at Bear Opera, which most recently joined the Decameron Opera Coalition to present the entirely virtual production of Tales from a Safe Distance. Next year, she is poised to return to the role of Carmen at Opera Orlando in a brand new production. Welcome, Brianna. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Next, we have Crystal E. Williams, baby, lauded as mezzo-soprano of conscience. Crystal E. Williams uses her vocal platform to unabashedly, I love that word, break stereotypes and be a voice for the voiceless, as well as foster unity and peace through music. Her ingenuity and gifts have been acknowledged by numerous organizations, including the Classical Post Award's Most Innovative Singer of 2019, the Musical Fund Society, the Career Grant Award of 2020, and the International Opera Awards 2020 Young Singer nominee, just to name a few. Recent past season engagements include Yardbird, that's the opera about Charlie Parker with Arizona Opera and the Atlanta Opera, a return to Birmingham Opera Company in the United Kingdom in 2019 as Katarina in Lady Macbeth of Mezzo, Intimate Apparel by Ricky Ian Gordon in a workshop with the Metropolitan Opera and the Lincoln Center Theater, and Beethoven's Ninth Symphony under the baton of the great Sir Simon Rattle with the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra. Crystal E. Williams made her Metropolitan Opera debut as Makataten in Philip Glass's opera Akhenaten last season. And she was the stewardess in the opera Flight in a debut with Minnesota Opera, and debuted with the Seattle Opera in the role reprisal of Rebecca in Charlie Parker's Yardbird. Listen, this sister is busy and serious about the work that she does. Be on the lookout for Miss Crystal E. Williams, baby. Christy Swann. Acclaimed mezzo-soprano Christy Swann has been hailed for her beautiful and rich voice as well as her captivating presence on stage. The Washington Post declares Christy Swann has a voice and she knows how to use it, baby. Use it! She displayed an instrument of immense power, natural beauty, natural beauty, and of tone and luscious legato line. The Philadelphia-born, New York-based mezzo-soprano was featured on the cover of Opera News with the great Dolores Odjick. This season, Miss Swann will be returning to the esteemed roster of the Metropolitan Opera for their production of Akhenaten, and returns to the Lyric Opera of Chicago for their production of Janine Tesori and Tazewell Thompson's opera Baloo, and performs as a soloist in Mozart's Requiem with Hunter College Choir. And additionally, Miss Swann will be performing as Mamie in Intimate Apparel, a new opera directed by Bartlett Sher and written by Lynn Nottage with music by Ricky Ian Gordon. Welcome, my gorgeous sister, Christy Swann. Melody Wilson is steadily gaining recognition as a rising young artist in the United States and in Europe. In the 2019-20 season, Melody Wilson will make her debut with Seattle Opera as Olga in Eugene Onegin, as well as the mezzo-soprano soloist and Paul Moravec's Sanctuary Road with the Columbus Symphony Orchestra. Miss Wilson will also perform a joint recital with bass Zachary James in Sun Valley, Idaho in the winter of 2020. In 2018, Miss Wilson performed the role of Addie in Blitzstein's Regina with the Opera Theater of St. Louis, as well as Fenena in Nabucco and Linda in Lost in the Stars with Union Avenue Opera in St. Louis. In 2017, she sang Blumenmenschen in the world premiere of Mund Parsifal Alpha 1 through 8, Jonathan Mess's adaptation of Wagner's Parsifal, under the baton of Simon Young with the Wiener Festwochen and the Berliner Festspiele. And the year before, she garnered acclaim as Mrs. Miller in Union Avenue's opera production of Doubt. Welcome, my gorgeous, beautiful sister, Melody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Raeanne Bryce Davis, baby. She's busy. She is busy and she's about her stuff. Raeanne Bryce Davis has been hailed by the New York Times as a striking mezzo-soprano and by the San Francisco Chronicle for her electrifying sense of fearlessness. She opened the 2019-20 season singing Verdi's Requiem with Maestro Kent Nagano at the Olympic Stadium of Montreal. She then returned to Opera Vlaanderin for her role debut as Princess Eboli in Verdi's Don Carlo, and made her LA Opera debut in the world premiere of Alcoin in Rules Euridice, a co-production with the Metropolitan Opera, and also sang Sarah in Roberto Devereux opposite Angela Meade and Ramon Vargas. Upcoming performances include De Componiste in Strauss's Ariadne of Naxos at Opera Vlaanderin, Preziosilla, Rataplan, baby, and Verdi's La Forza del Destino at Teatro du Capitole, and Azucena in Verdi's Il Trovatore at LA Opera and at the Staatstheater Nuremberg. Recently, she released her music video, To the Afflicted, which received much critical acclaim and was chosen as an official video for World Opera Day. She is a graduate of the Manhattan School of Music and the University of Texas at Arlington. And last but finally not least, I just love this woman so much. So much, because she's amazing and fabulous. American mezzo-soprano Ronita Miller. Continues her career season 2021 with performances at Deutsche Oper Berlin. Last season, she completed her 7th season as a member of the ensemble at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. Performances there included Mama Lucia in Cavalleria Rusticana, Third Lady in Die Zauberflöte, Mary in Der Fliegende Holländer, Madelon in Andrea Chenier, and Ulrika in Un ballo en maschera. Last season, she made her debut at the Herconcertbouw in Amsterdam as Fricka in a performance of Die Walküre conducted by Jaap van Zweden, our maestro here at the New York Philharmonic. In the United States, she joined the Chicago Symphony Orchestra to sing Mamma Lucia and Cavalleria Rusicana under the baton of the great Riccardo Muti. And she gave further performances of Erda in Das Rheingold at Teatro Royal in Madrid, before returning to the Metropolitan Opera to sing first Norn in Götterdämmerung and to the Boston Symphony Orchestra, where she sang Schwertleiter in Die Walküre at Tanglewood. In the United Kingdom, she sang the first Norn at the Edinburgh Festival with Sir Andrew Davis, and at the Brighton Festival for Tippett's A Child of Our Time with the Philharmonia Orchestra. Listen, these divas are busy and gorgeous and fabulous. And so I have the great pleasure to introduce to you all of them, all six. Learn their names, learn their faces, and love their voices. Welcome, the show, ladies. So welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
You're amazing.
Love it.
You were reading that. Okay.
Yes.
Y'all are busy, and I love it. And you do it with such grace and passion and individuality and beauty. And I'm just going to put up a few comments that the folks are saying already in the room, and y'all have just shown your faces. It's just, my goodness. The folks are loving you.
Aww.
Look at this. Raeanne, just love coming.
Mm.
Hey, Michelle Johnson Major, I love you. That fedora is fabulous, girl.
Okay.
Love it. All this love. So, all right, we're going to let the audience get to know you all a bit better. So let's start with Brianna. My dear, tell us where you're from and how did classical music and opera come into your life? Give us a story.
Oh, the origin story. I grew up in the Philly suburbs.
I didn't know that. I'm from Philly.
Are you? Yeah,
Born
down
and
the
raised, baby. On
So
the playground is where I spent most of my days.
that's right. Hey, so that's where I grew up. And let's see, I always did like plays and musicals. We did in the public school I went to had a play and a musical every year, and I did all of them from as soon as I can remember. And and then at church, the music director at our church gave me my first voice lessons. And then like eventually, as like I kind of started like learning more and more, she sent me to her teacher at Villanova University. And she was the one who gave me my first like art songs and classical, but I had not gone to an opera. I didn't know anything about it. So until like, I literally was just going to use it just to get into college, get like that cute music scholarship. Cause I was like, hey, let's, to my benefit. And then it just ended up, I just kept going. And eventually, finally, I went to Davidson College and in North Carolina. I was a theater major. I still wasn't a music major. And then after that, I had a voice teacher there who was like, you can go to New York and you can like do this for real. So that's kind of how it was, just, my saints in my life guiding me slowly to it.
That's fantastic. You're my Philly sister. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
So Melody, tell us where you're from and how did this incredible industry and beautiful genre of music come into your life?
Well, I'm direct from the Mason-Dixon line, right at Maryland and Delaware. And growing up, I was an instrumentalist first. Actually, I was a clarinetist. And you were a clarinetist too, Brianna. Yay, clarinetist. And clarinetist and bass clarinetist as well.
Wow.
Yay, Christy. So, and somehow I had in my head, I always sang, but I was like, well, singing's not really serious. And a real musician plays an instrument. So, and it's probably because everyone in my dad's side of the family played an instrument and sang. And actually, I got my clarinet passed down to me from my aunt. So it was the same busted clarinet. No matter how many times I dropped it, it had little dents on the end of it. Poor clarinet. But anyway, and I just kept with it. I was a band geek in high school, marching band. I was a drum major. And, when I got to college, I thought, hey, music is great and I love it. It's my passion, but I'm not good enough. So I'm going to study language and psychology. I wanted to be a UN translator. That was my dream job. So, and then I just, it was a minor, and they were like, we think that you could do it. We think you can do it. And I was like, really? So that's how it all started.
Fantastic. Raeanne, tell us, darling, where you're from and how did you get started in this craziness?
Well, my family is originally from Jamaica, but I popped out while my family was studying in Mexico. So I like to say I'm a Jamex American. So my mom is a singer. When she was back in Jamaica, she was big on the theater scene.
Yeah.
And so when we came here, she always made sure that her kids were in lots of lessons. Very interesting melody about clarinet. I feel like now there's a mezzo clarinet connection. I also played clarinet.
Wow.
And took, piano lessons and violin lessons. I cannot say I claim piano because Lord knows anyone who's heard me knows the truth. But I was always in orchestra and band and choir. But I never thought about opera seriously. When I was in high school, my mom went back to school to do a music degree. Mm-hmm. And I spent the summers sitting in the fine arts library bored. So the only thing that there was to do was to watch Broadway musicals. So I watched all the operas, all the musicals that were there. And then eventually I was like, okay, I've seen everything. What else is there? And there were opera DVDs. So I started watching the opera shows. And then I was like, oh, well, this is very interesting. And I went through this journey of musicals through crossover opera with a beat underneath it, and then finally into legit opera. Started taking lessons in college. I was a business major, and the teacher was like, no, boo-boo, you come here. This is your life, not that. And I went with it and have never looked back since.
Wow. Amazing. Crystal, tell us, my darling, how did you get started in all of this? Where you're from and all that good stuff?
I'm from P-Town, Portsmouth, Virginia, 757.
Okay.
Hey. I'm originally, it's interesting because I never wanted to be a singer per se. I always wanted to help people. My siblings will tell you yeah, she was always singing. Of course, I took choir and we took piano lessons and, all that kind of stuff. My mom sang, not professionally, but she's very artistic, artistic. And so an artistic family, not necessarily musical, but very artistic. And then I think I was maybe 6th or 7th grade, and there was a sample tour of the Governor's School for the Arts in Norfolk, Virginia, and they went to my area and they came to my school, and so there was this choir director. His name was Robert Brown, and he was playing, I think the Carmen Children's Chorus or something, and his back, he was literally vibrating. So I was literally drawn to this man, and I was like, what is happening? And because he was singing and playing, with this vibrant voice. Yeah. And I just remember standing, this was so creeper, kind of, this 6th or 7th grader, standing right up on this man. But I was mesmerized by his back vibrating. So I auditioned for the Governor's School. I got in. And then my freshman year, we took a trip to the Tower Records in New York. And Leontine Price was singing something on one of the monitors. And I was glued to the floor. And I said to the director, I said, how does music, what is this? How can I help people, sing an opera? Because I was trying to do it, I was going to be a biologist. I had a sister who was chemistry, one who was physics, and we were going to fix the world of everything, And he said, you can help people through the music. So that's what I've been doing ever since. Just trying to make a difference one note at a time.
Fantastic. Amazing. Christy, tell us. What's your story, girl?
Well, first I have to make a correction before I get my behind kicked. So I was born in Philadelphia, but I was raised in Detroit. So I am a Detroiter. So I don't want to get in trouble. So I got me in trouble before, and now I live in New York. But I am definitely from Detroit. But I was happily born in Philadelphia. I'm happy to be there. But
I'll let you slide. I'll let you anyway.
This ain't even about you, Kenny. This is about my aunts and my family members at home. They gonna cuss me out.
Listen,
but
I know where you live. I'll come get you.
And bring some food and some alcohol with you. Anyway, so Alex, I was from Detroit, Michigan, and I was drafted in choir as a little baby. My grandmother had an amazing instrument. My mom had an amazing instrument. They sang mostly gospel, and my mom sang a lot of jazz and popular music. My uncles. So I come from a musical family, but not no one pursued it formally. But you couldn't pursue it formally either. So it's like, oh, that's a nice thing on the side to do. What are you really going to do with your life?
Right.
But I had asthma. So my mom, being a nurse and a respiratory therapist, she knew I should take up an instrument. I wanted to play saxophone because I thought it was the coolest instrument ever. And she and the choir, the band director in my elementary school lied and said it was the same fingering as the saxophone, the clarinet. So,
this is soprano sax, same fingering.
Right. And so it's just like they lied. So I had, and it's 5 girls. So we didn't have a lot of money. So I was going to play that instrument for the rest of my existence. And I still have my bass clarinet. I started playing bass clarinet in the last year of middle school, and I played it ever since because it looks like a saxophone. That's the reason why I play bass clarinet. Because I was like, well, I'm going to get my saxophone no matter what. But so I played that, and my mom thought it was an interesting idea to go to school to get a music scholarship, but still no pursuing music. And in about 9th grade, my high school music teacher, Mr. Wolf, let me listen to Leontine Price, and that was it. And I think it was from Andrea Chenier. No, Adriana Lacouva. And it was on VHS, and I warped that VHS. I stole it and I warped it. And then I got to hear Maria Callas and Tosca, and that was it. So I knew from 9th grade I was going to be an opera singer. Didn't know how I was going to do it. My family wasn't having it. So when I graduated and went to college, the deal was, since I never changed my mind, is I had to get a practical degree first. And somehow practical degree meant anthropology or liberal arts, which, but that was much more accessible than music. And so the deal was I get a practical degree first, and they would help me with music. And unfortunately, my mom had passed away after she had passed away, and I obtained my first degree. My dad said, okay, you can do the music. And I remember auditioning for Manhattan School of Music and getting rejected. I remember getting rejected from a lot of different conservatories because I didn't know what I was doing.
I bet they're mad now.
Well, I went to Oakland University, and they helped me with my foundation. I have a fantastic teacher, Edith Diggory, there. And I also had a teacher that got me into the school, Marlene Plum, and a fantastic Mike Mitchell, who got me into school. And they gave me a foundation, and I auditioned again for Manhattan School of Music and got a full scholarship. And I got a full scholarship at Madison and a full scholarship at EDC. I decided to go to Manhattan School of Music because my dad said, which city is the Met in? And that's the one you go. That's where I got a formal.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Ronita, darling, can you hear me? Ronita. Maybe not. So while Ronita gets herself together.
Sorry, I'm having trouble.
Okay, we got your back. I can see you. So Melody, tell us early on, were you always a mezzo when you started singing, or were you like a soprano first because they didn't understand the voice and you moved down, or were you a contralto and moved up? How did you find mezzodom?
That's a very good question. They were very confused. I actually was labeled as a contralto. My highest note was an E on the staff when I started. So, and then the bottom was just very, very full. So I was very bottom heavy, singing like a tenor range, basically. And then it just slowly moved on up. And I have to thank my undergrad teacher. I don't know if you all know Norwood Robinson, but I studied with his mother, Marie Hadley Robinson, and she was fantastic. And she helped me build my range. And then by the time I was finishing undergrad, I had, hi Tiff, I had a G or so, and then I was like, oh, okay, so you really are a mezzo. But I remember that it was really shocking because most undergraduates don't sing Ulrika's aria as their first aria, but that was my first Verdi aria in undergrad. I shake my head now, like I would never assign that to any undergraduate student.
Fantastic.
But I'm definitely in the high mezzo Zwischenfach kind of area. Yeah.
Absolutely. I believe so too. And as you know, folks out there, maybe this is your first time watching Black Opera Live, but I carry receipts in my bag. And I have receipts on all these ladies and their fabulousness, and everything that Melody just said is the truth. So I'm going to just let y'all check it out, and I'll get right back with you. Dang, girl. Listen.
Get it.
Listen, ma'am, you better get that. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Kenny.
Oh, so fabulous. And I want to tell the audience out here, part of the mission for this particular platform and show is that I want to tell and help tell the stories of all of the voices, not just the voices that the industry decides that society is worthy of hearing. I want everybody that looks like me to have their moment so that everybody knows their name. I don't want another generation to go by where we just have 5 or 6 Black artists that you can name the names of. I want you to have so many names that you need all day to get them out.
Yeah.
And this show is one of the ways that we are going to do that. And I'm so happy that you 6 agreed to come on, because you come from an incredible lineage of great Black women, particularly great Black mezzos. But I don't think that in any generation we were celebrating this many of you at one time. And so that must end, and it must end immediately. And so thank you, Melody, for sharing that gorgeous piece from Joconda, yes?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, my dear. Ronita, are you with us, darling?
I am with you. Can you hear me?
Yay!
I just had to trash my phone and I switched right to laptop. Sometimes you just need what works.
Listen, listen, this is pandemic time, and so we give grace to figure it out, darling. Give grace to figure it out. So will you tell the folks, my dear, where are you from, and how did classical music and opera come into your life?
Okay, I'm from Florida, you know, where all the crazy comes from. I was born in St. Pete, and I actually had no aspirations to be a singer whatsoever. I wanted to be an astrophysicist, and my course load was very heavily scientific. I mean, anything from meteorology, planetary, you know, physics, anything that I could get that was science-based, that's what I was into. And I still love science. And then I got a crush on a guy who was in chorus. I was like, I think I need to join chorus. I didn't want to join chorus to sing.
I wanted
to join chorus to get next to him. And the teacher was like, I suspect you can sing. And I was like, no. I'm happy hanging out in the alto section, you know, with my face in the score, kind of, you know, just doing the thing. And he was just like, no, you need to sing this solo. And I was like, oh my God, how can I possibly get out of this? I don't do audiences. I don't do standing in front of people to do anything. I like to sit in the corner and read. And he pushed and he pushed and he pushed. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And that was kind of the beginning of the end. And I mean, even in college, I still carried a heavy science course load. But in the end, music won out because they're just too hard to carry both. So that's kind of how I got into classical music. You know, I was in church, so I heard music. I was in the choir. I you know, sang solo. You can hear me solo. But yeah, everyone in my family is kind of this sort of 50-50 split of academics and, you know, artistic abilities. So in the end, one always wins out. And that's what happened in my case. Yeah, but
wow.
This is just a happy sequence of events that I ended up in music.
Yeah, amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
So, Raeanne, darling, were you always a mezzo? Because when I hear your voice, you just have all the notes, the low ones, the high ones, and you sing them with like, you know what? I can sing this. I don't care what y'all try to, You ain't put no label on me. So were you did you sing in the alto section, or were they trying to push you to be a soprano? Were the children confused?
Well, in high school, I did 2 years as an alto, and then they heard I had high notes, so then I sang all the soprano lines. Basically, whoever they needed me, they were like, okay, go there. No, okay, now go there.
Yeah.
So by the time I got to college, I told you I went through this whole Broadway phase. So my big dream was to sing our sister, why has my name, Carlota. My dream was to sing Carlota in Phantom of the Opera. So I went to my first lesson. I was like, I am ready to embrace my inner Carlota. And they're like, Bibi, you a mezzo. so I did start as a mezzo. When I got to MSM, they heard one of the first shows that I sang was El Amor Brujo, which is this mezzo like. Blah. So then they were like, "Oh my gosh, you got all these low notes. You should label yourself as a contralto." And I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe I'll do that." And then I kept taking lessons, and then like all these high notes started popping out. They're like, "Oh, no, you're a soprano." And then I was like, "No, I'm still a mezzo. We are mezzo, soprano. We have it all."
We have it all, baby. Let the folks know. And listen, as you know, I got a receipt in my bag. You're not ever going to catch me without a receipt. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to ever catch me. And so, Raeanne, I'm so glad you sent this clip and then you gave that answer that fits this clip absolutely perfectly. For those of you out there who are wearing wigs, I would pin them down, get a few extra pins and pin them down. Okay? Trust me. When we get back, some of y'all might not have them on, but catch this.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Listen, let the kids know. Let them know. Let
Get
them
it.
know. You have all the notes, darling. All the notes. Now, first of all, that was incredible, and thank you for sharing that with our audience tonight. Let me put some comments up in the chat because the folks are going crazy. Yes, the French version. Will you tell us about the French? Because when I sing it in Italian.
There it is.
Me too.
And I noticed there's different phrasing, different breaths than. Why did you choose to sing it in the French? Was it by choice, or were you hired to sing it in French?
So I normally, when I was doing it in competitions, I would do it in Italian. But of course, when someone offers you money to sing it in French, you learn it in French. And then fortunately, I was doing a performance in Opera Vlaanderen, and we had 13 performances scheduled that were like every 3 days we would have a performance. And because so few people know it in French, anytime someone was doing the production, which nowadays most people are doing it in French because it was written in French.
Yes.
Anytime anybody was doing it, they were like, "Oh, hey, so like, jump on train, come here." So I ended up doing it in Staatsoper Nuremberg, like in between shows. Like I would sing a show in Antwerp, get on a train for 7 hours, and then like have my first rehearsal, sing a show the next day in Germany, run back 7 hours on a train to Antwerp, sing a show the next day, get back on the train. And then I ended up also going to Stuttgart to also cover our dear sick Mezzos. So I was very glad that I learned it in French, and I advise all of you who sing it to learn it in French because you got to start making money, you know.
Have mercy, God. Okay, Brianna, darling, were you always a mezzo? And one of the things that I want to mention to the audience is that these 6 ladies are like a buffet, a smorgasbord of different types, different sounds, different everything. And so all you companies out there, you don't have to just hire one of them. You can hire all 6 of them in 6 different operas. So there's no need to say, oh, well, we only have this, because we have all of the genres of mezzi represented here. So Brianna, tell us, were you always a mezzo? Were they trying to push you up or down?
Oh, up. I was a soprano. In fact, even when I met Raeanne in doing my master's, I was a soprano. I graduated all of my schooling as a soprano. And then I linked up kind of towards the end of my final semester. End of my final semester, I was having a major crisis. And it's kind of ironic because it was during the Marilyn Horne Masterclass. Do you remember that, Raeanne? And I was like on the struggle. She was pushed. Like, sorry, but you did. And I was like, I didn't do. I went to the library, I remember this day, and I checked out the Mezzo anthology and just like sang through it in a practice room. It was like look at therapy for myself. And it felt so good. But then I was like, no, I can't. Like, I just have to, if I just push, if I just work hard enough, I linked up with a new teacher, who he's still a teacher now, Neil Seymour. And Neil was like, so he warmed me down, and no one had really like warmed me down. That's like an interesting thing, right? Because everyone's always like ready to go up the scale.
Right.
And he was like, I had like a low A. And he's like, how old are you? Not if you were maybe 50, or like a 60-year-old soprano, maybe, but this is not, normal. And I was like, oh. So I just kind of, I kept working my way down and like filling out the bottom, and it just like everything just lined up. It was like click, 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 click.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Amazing. And so I also want to ask you, because the clip that you sent me, I'm so glad you sent it because I was so bitter and so upset because I was coming to see you do this opera, and then Corona took the option away from me. So I want you to tell our audiences what it's like creating a role and being the first to do it at all the places. And for those of you out there, I'm talking about the incredible new opera entitled Blue, which is loosely based on true and recent events in our time. What was it like starting from the ground up with the composer and the librettist in the room from the beginning?
I mean, it was a dream. It was great because I even started before then because we did a tour, like I don't know what you call them, but we did these like little symposium tours all around the country too. And I got to sing the first aria over and over and over again, and work with Janine, even like before it was finished being written.
Wow. Okay.
So there are things that are able to be tailored to you. So that, first of all, is amazing. When you're like, so this isn't super comfortable, or like, how important, you can be like, how important is this to you as a composer? That's the way to phrase it. How important is this because this feels not great, or I instinctually want to do something else. So stuff like that was really fun. This opera in particular is, and I'll do it at some point. I'm just gonna probably at some point, this opera will touch your lives. It is emotionally, like, especially given the past, well, however many centuries, but several years that we've gone through, was a deep catharsis. And it also provided challenges that I didn't, like, sometimes it would surprise you with what would come up emotionally on any given day. So like, I tried to cry in practicing it. I tried to cry it out as much as possible. Yeah. And just like let it go. And even if I couldn't, sing, just like practice going beyond my capacity as much as possible. But there were still some days like that we would get somebody, and then we'd have to like, have a moment. Yeah. Come back in. So, I mean, the great thing about it is that you're doing it with, hopefully, I mean, the cast we had was amazingly supportive, and everyone was kind of in that mentality. Yeah. So, it felt comfortable being that vulnerable with each other. And, it's just an important piece, and it's amazing to have the opportunity to be able to dig into it and create something that's never been done.
Amazing. And I am praying that once Corona releases us, that you are blessed back with every opportunity that was temporarily taken from you, because it's such a great piece and I cannot wait to see you in it. But here's a preview, folks. Get yourselves together.
Changing diapers, feeding my baby, feeding
So fabulous. Oh my God, I cannot wait to see this piece.
Amazing.
I can't wait for you to see it.
Oh my gosh. It's just so special. When hey
Oh, thank you.
Karen.
Yay!
When Karen saw it in Glimmerglass, she called me. She was like, "Yeah, you have to see this piece. It's the real deal. It's the real deal."
Thanks.
So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, that was the one. So just so you know, legally, it's out on YouTube. So I didn't do anything before y'all get on me like, girl, do you have the rights to it? They posted it in a New York Times article. So
Yes.
anyone can see it. It's okay. I didn't like drop anything I wasn't supposed to.
The whole show? The whole show is on YouTube?
No, just
Oh.
by the way, those are all. It's very fractured.
Okay.
So like that's kind of like parts of Act 1 that you heard, and then yeah. So they kind of put like a promo. It's like a trailer, kind of, I guess, what they put on. But it was a healthy clip, and I figured that's what you wanted to hear.
Yes.
Like,
good.
let me find a
It's so
healthy
good.
blue clip for you. That's more than just the aria.
Let me tell the folks though, we've played 3 clips thus far, and we've had Ponchielli, French Verdi, and Tesori. Like, we've already had a little of this, a little of that, a little of that. So y'all run, and I'm so happy that you all just immediately volunteered this repertoire. Like, I didn't ask for it and I didn't pick it out myself. You all offered it, but I also wanted to mention none of you, not one of you, offered Carmen or Delilah. And in a way, I am so excited and happy that you did not. I am so happy that there's so much more repertoire out there for all of you that you didn't have to do that. And so thank you to all of you. Now, Ronita, my dear, you have ventured into the repertoire that is oftentimes uncharted territory, specifically for Black women. But you, my dear, have gone and burst through the Wagner world, baby. And I am so excited to see it. So excited. Grace Bumbry, I know, is so proud of you. Because she now has some company with doing this. Tell me when did Wagner start to knock on your door? And what was it like to answer the call when he came knocking?
Wagner came along very late. I have always been, to many people's surprise, a Mozart and Rossini singer. I started with Mozart. I love Mozart. I love singing Mozart. I love singing Rossini. It just is such fun music to me.
They keep you honest, baby. They keep you honest.
I love it for that reason, because it just Wagner came along when I finished up at Manhattan and Juilliard, and then I had this sort of year where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I auditioned at LA Opera, and they assigned me Wagner. And they assigned me to cover Flotilda, cover Erda, and cover Norn. And I thought, I don't know anything about this repertoire. I don't even like Wagner, because I didn't. I did at the time. I didn't, because I was just like, this is just this incomprehensible music that doesn't make any sense to me. You know, like Mozart, really classical era composers, they have stops, they have starts, they have recitatives, arias.
Yes.
Wagner
don't.
It's just, it is through composed. You are singing, and once you're singing, you are singing. And I just went in, and it was just like this overwhelming experience of working on Wagner for the first time on a 41-2 degree rake.
Ooh.
Huge team, learning how to not slide into the pit while singing German. And then I actually went on to perform. I was not a cover any longer. So from that, then, you know, it just sort of went like dominoes from LA to San Francisco to Berlin to Amsterdam, and so on and so forth. I mean, you name it. And it's so funny because interspersed in between all the Wagner come, the little pop-ups of Mozart and Rossini, and I'm so thankful for that. But yeah, Wagner came for me. I did not come for Herr Wagner.
Do not come for me unless.
Yeah, he showed up,
for you.
I just was like, all right, cool. I can do that. That fine, fun. Yeah.
I love it. I'm so glad you shared this with me, and congratulations for being an emerging artist nominee from the San Francisco Opera. That's such a huge honor.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. And I did not send you a healthy clip. I sent you a short little, because I don't record as much as I should.
Listen,
we got to pay for the rest. We got to pay for the rest.
What you sent was beautiful and grand enough. Get yourselves together, folks. Miss Ronita is giving us some Wagner.
Help us, Lord, help us.
Girl, listen, my brain doesn't even work like that musically. Like, I'm like, where am I? Can I get a 1, 2?
Same.
Listen,
I mean, you should see my scores for any time I get Wagner. It's like beat marks everywhere. I'm like, gotta find those beats. Gotta find some sort of, road mark.
Yeah, like for real.
Fun though, fun.
It has to be fun. Listen, Wagner is a whole different kind of pay scale too. Let's talk about it. The Wagner checks are a different kind of thing.
I'm not upset. I wish I could have some Wagner paychecks right now.
I know that's right.
Come on, Rona. Rona's got to go. We get her out here.
She really does have to go. She has overstayed her welcome. She wasn't invited to begin with, but she's really overstayed her welcome. She's got to go. Now, Christy, darling, you've touched on a little Wagner too, and then you touch on some Verdi too, and then you've done some new stuff too. Girl, how did all of this voice come together? Like, were you a soprano at one time or a contralto? Did you always sing alto in the choir? Like, what's the story?
Well, I grew up. The beauty of growing up in a Southern Baptist church is I got to match pitch with a lot of choir members, and so sometimes our old bishops would have to lead it, and we'd have to go wherever they were leading. Right. And so my chest was, I never had a problem with singing chest notes, but I stayed in choir, loved concert choir, and I would go back and forth depending on dynamics. The choir directors. There was a point, in college where it's like, okay, for this part you're going to sing alto, and for this part you're going to do second soprano. Yeah. And then if it's a very loud part, he'll point at me. And if it's a very part in the second soprano,
right.
So that's what it was, But I got to my first teacher, my teacher in college, Edith Diggory, and there was like a point I remember where she said, "There's no way you're an alto," because I had auditioned with the medium Black Swan. I just figured so that it's like, okay. So they're like, okay, you're a mezzo. And then I got to TV, and I remember her saying, "There's no way in hell you're a mezzo." And then for about a year or so, we worked on soprano repertoire, which I'm very happy with because I was just like, well, I didn't try to sing everything this pricing. Okay. So there came a point where I learned the aria from Adriana Lucuba, and she said, "There's no way you're a soprano." So then I just became a mezzo. By the time I got to the end, I had school music. She said, "I said, Mian, what's going on?" Because there's always confusion with me. I've been told by great names, you're a soprano, you're a dramatic soprano, you're a mezzo, you're a dramatic mezzo, you're a real Verdi mezzo, what have you. And Mian, I said, I'm so confused. She said, "Kitty, when you wake up in the morning, do you feel like a mezzo or you feel like a soprano?" And I said, "Well, I feel like a mezzo." Damn it, Kitty, you're a mezzo. So that's where we landed.
Teach the folks, Mignon.
It's not complicated, straight, no chaser, no BS. So that's where I landed. But my dream was always to sing all of the Verdi stuff, and it is where I love it. But as Birgit Nilsson says, when they say she picks a role and she picks up her purse, and she chooses her role about who we're paying for. So I go with whatever, I rarely say no, and I try like new music. I got a lot of contemporary music, a lot of city opera, I go wherever it lands, and hopefully I don't hurt myself.
I love it. And I'm so glad you sent me this clip of arguably one of my favorite pieces ever written. And when I have sung it myself, it really does bring me to tears. And that is the Verdi Requiem. So hold on to your hats and wigs. Girl, that is everything. It's everything. Just gorgeous. Like I just want to eat it. Like it's like juicy and chocolatey and warm
Thank
and
you.
oh,
Thank you.
so beautiful. So beautiful. Now, Crystal, my dear, there you go. There you go. Crystal, tell us, were you always a mezzo as well, or did you come down from sopranodom or up from contraltodom?
Well, it's funny. So when I was in high school at the Government School for the Arts, I've always had this wide range, and so I kind of sang whatever was needed. If we needed, tenor, I sang tenor. If we needed alto, it was alto. Soprano, soprano. And the same with the repertoire. We did the Le Nozze di Figaro. I sang the Countess.
Wow.
We did in English, and then I sang it, and later on I was Cherubino, Cherubino. And then I've sung Lady Macbeth of Mezzos. So it's kind of just, and then of course you hear all of the judges would say, oh, you should sing this repertoire, or you would be a really great job, but you really should sing this repertoire. And so I've sung kind of a bag, new music, Rossini, some Mozart. So it's been really kind of this whole mix up of, where I am. So I kind of I've always been more of a Zwischenfach. And so I kind of I like to say now, I just sing what I can sing. I'm kind of with Christy, jingle that little purse, and if my throat can handle it, we're going to do what we can do. We're here to hear music, right? So that mezzo still has a soprano in it, and that mezzo has a bit of the alto quality, so we can just all be happy in that mezzo land.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. And I'm so glad that you shared this clip with me. Like with all of you, like today I was sort of drained. I had a fairly unpleasant day with things that are going on just in the world, not in my own personal life, just seeing all the foolishness happening. But then when the team started sending me all of your clips into the StreamYard and I was listening to y'all, I just immediately started feeling better. And so, yeah, like music is powerful and we've got to get back to it. And Crystal, this piece in particular resonates with me because I am in love, absolutely in love, infatuated, obsessed with Margaret Bonds. And when I hear you sing this, I feel her presence. I feel the Harlem Renaissance. I feel Langston Hughes. I feel all of that. And I want to talk to you a bit after about the first paragraph of your bio where you said you love to give voice to the voiceless. I want to talk about what you're doing to be able to achieve that. So, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy this clip of Crystal E. Williams singing Margaret Bonds. Oh
That
my
was
God.
That was
Listen.
beautiful.
I'm just done with you. Like, just done. Done.
Thank you.
And the people, I'm gonna put up some of these comments, like they're just
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Latanya. Oh, thank
going
you.
nuts.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, just beautiful. And you look incredible. Like, you are clearly channeling the ancestors, and they showed up.
Yeah.
They showed up.
Yeah, that was an incredible concert. That was actually my Astral Artist Philadelphia solo recital debut. And they basically said, you know, this is a recital to kind of introduce yourself. And so I said, well, why not be me? I'm not, you know, so I wanted to include some dance. I wanted to include some of my own creativity, like the skirt I made, the skirt I was wearing, I made it. My mom, she was a fabulous, you know, seamstress. She could make anything, you know, and so, I wanted to honor her. I wanted to honor, you know, my father, who was, you know, in the hospital and in various stages, and so. I wanted to really do something that spoke to me and my people, my who I am and where I come from, you know. And so when I picked that recital, when I was programming the recital, I wanted to do something that really spoke of voices that really didn't have a voice. You know, the voices were either they spoke and they were stripped, or groups of people that were denied all kinds of rights. And so it was, you know, and this is all across the board, you know, this is, of course, our culture, Black and brown, but this is, you know, also the European and, you know, the censorship that they went through. And there were lots of composers who basically, you know, hid their right, well, not hid it, but, you know, they would write something, they would have to redo it, or it wouldn't be the true version of what they wrote. So I really wanted to do a recital that spoke to that. And then also going forward, I'm in the midst of writing programs, recital work that speak to a lot of the injustice that's happening right now. There's an album that we're going to be making. And then there's also a duo that my husband and I, Felipe Hostins, are writing, and it premieres in May of 2021, called Forrópera, where we try to bring unity, peace, and understanding through music. So there's this forró, or traditional Brazilian folk music, and there's opera. You know, he's a white South American, I'm a Black North American. You know, he plays music that's traditionally of the Black genre. I sing music that's traditionally of the white genre. And just to bring this all together, you know, we're working with Esperanza Arts Center. We're working with the Astral Artists, these youth. We're bringing lots of, you know, the youth and children and their perspective of everything that's happening right now. So, you know, in the midst of writing and composing for that, and then also the albums and the recital work that just, for me, sometimes I feel like I feel so much, and so I like to process it, and then that process comes out in work versus just words for me. So it's just been this, you know, work from even starting years ago. You know, I've seen these injustices, and I've just been trying to figure out what can I do. Hey, Liza, what can I do to make a difference? You know, to make impact, because I'm a doer. You know, I want to get out there and be doing something. I want to make change. I want to see it, and I want it to last. You know, so yeah, that's, you know, that's kind of, all those things were going on in my head, because my dad was always kind of like, you're going to do it well or not at all. You know, so I was like, okay, we're going to go big or go home. Okay, here we go.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Come on, Pops. That's some amazing advice for everybody. Yeah. Absolutely everybody. Now, Melody, darling, you spend most of your life in Vienna. You live there and you work over there. Tell us when you went over there and decided to stay and make that home. And also talk about what it's like being a Black woman, a Black American woman in the middle of Austria.
Well, I think I've always known that I wanted to move to Europe. I studied abroad in Spain, in Granada, and ever since then I said, this is going to be home for me. I just like the way of life more. I love that people really live and enjoy life, and they don't work for life. Work is so you can live your life, and that's very different from the mentality here in the US. And I really appreciate that. Family and friends are so important there. They really put that stuff first, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, since I was in Granada, I just decided, I will eventually get over there. I had a professor in grad school that said, I really think you should move to Europe, specifically France. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe. And then I just happened to get a contract singing with the orchestra in Hungary or in Czech Republic. I'm trying to remember, this competition was years ago. And I had a friend from grad school that was in Vienna, and he said, well, why don't you do the same concert in Vienna? And I said, well, sure. He was doing his postdoc, and he had me sing in the saal there. And I said, wonderful. And I said, I really love this city. So I decided at that point that I was just going to move to Vienna. And I started what I would call shopping Vienna. Like, oh, here's my friend network. I joined an expat group that I'm now a consul of, and made my friends and have my little network. And I hooked up with Miss Bunbury. She was doing trying to get a program off the ground at that point. It didn't end up happening, but she was like, oh yes, it's wonderful. And I remember her telling me, I sang Dido's Lament for her. And she said, you have the second best Dido's Lament I've ever heard. Second to Shirley's, and I studied with Professor Verrett. Yes. And I was like, oh.
Wow.
So, after that, I said, I really love it over here. It makes me feel good that she's been over here for all of these years.
Yeah.
And also, I think is it Ms. Kreider that's in Salzburg as well, I think perhaps, and a couple of others. And I said, if they can be there, I can be there too. And it really does feel like home. I know I've heard some horror stories about people in Vienna, but luckily, I really love it, and I definitely call it home. I love my city. It's great. I feel welcome. I've never had any issues. I also, it depends on who you surround yourself with. I like to surround myself with people who are open-minded and interesting, and I think if you're in that sort of lane, then you're going to be okay. There are always horrible people. You can find them anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to find your little niche and go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ronita, you spend lots of time over in Europe as well, particularly Germany. What was it like? Is it the Fest program in Berlin that you were a part of? How did that come to be, and how long have you been a part of it? And do you see yourself staying there or going back and forth?
Well, Berlin came about as a result of the Ring in San Francisco the first time in 2011, when I first met now Sir Donald Runnicles. And I remember, in fact, a tip: never sing when you have acid reflux. Just don't do it. Okay. That's a random tip, but I promise it's pertinent to the story. I sang because he wanted to hear the repertoire, and so I had acid reflux, and so I sang, and it was terrible, but ended up somehow they were just like, yeah, no, we want to hear you again. And so while I was in Russia, I got a call to say, hey, can you fly to Germany and do this audition? And so I sang in Berlin, and that's how that happened. And fast forward 7 years in Germany. It's, not as long as it could be, but certainly longer than I ever thought I would be there. And currently I am back in the States, but I have plans to go back and forth because I am very fortunate to have my career divided across the Atlantic. Unfortunately, due to Corona, I missed my first really big Verdi debut in the United States, but she'll come back. But now I'm dividing my time between yeah, Europe and the United States, Spain and Germany and, you know,
Yeah.
Denmark and Amsterdam. So I did not have any dreams to live in Europe, but it came and I just went with it because I thought this is a great way to amass a lot of repertoire,
Yes.
to learn a different system, to be able to use the versatility that I've always known I've had. But sometimes you sort of get stuck sometimes in one lane, but in an ensemble, you can sing all kinds of music. And that was the main draw, to sing all kinds of music and to work directly with conductors, which then, you know, generates new work. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, Raeanne, darling, tell me about To the Afflicted. And I also, you are another person who champions the music of Black composers and women composers. And you have this sort of wide, vast repertoire. Tell me where that is fueled from, and when did it start, and how did you create this show?
Ooh, big question. So when did it start? When I was in undergrad, I, studied the traditional repertoire, Handel and Mozart, etc., lots of Lieder. And my sister, who is a wonderfully powerful Afro-centrist power woman, asked me one day, she was like, so when are you going to start singing music written by your own people? And I was like, of course, I'm singing great music. There must be music we've written somewhere. The next time you see me, I'm gonna be singing it. So I went, and I actively went and tried to find music by Black composers. And one of the first things I found was a CD by Daryl Taylor with music by H. Leslie Adams. And I was like, I am singing this everywhere. And so that was my first experience. And as the years have gone on, I've run into so many other wonderful Black composers and female composers, and been blessed to participate in several world premieres championing their music. Most recently, Anthony Davis's We Call the Roll with the Lead Society in Minnesota, which was
fantastic,
absolutely
piece.
amazing.
My goodness.
In honor of George Floyd in the city where he lived. So that was powerful. I think there's no better union than our voices, who are trained to harness all of this power, and the creative power of our own people to blaze our message and our excellence into the world. I think that's just such a blessing to be able to be part of that. In terms of To Be the Afflicted, I was at LA Opera right before the pandemic began, and of course, my second show was canceled, and I had built up all this anticipation after the first performance. I had been a jump-in. It was originally supposed to be Alice Coote that was singing Sara in Roberto Devereux. And I had this opportunity 3 days before rehearsals started to jump in and sing this role. Wow. So I was able to do that. I got my first performance, and then the second one was canceled. And it was just like, ooh, such a devastating blow. So I went at home. I sulked for a few months. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give myself my second performance. One of the beautiful things about this pandemic is all of a sudden, we as artists have the power to create whatever we want. There's no director telling us this is the message you have to convey. This is the intention. It's our being able to create this message. And so Sara's aria, All'afflitto e dolce il pianto, was heavy on my heart because that's the aria that she sang. But it was in the middle of all of this civil unrest, and I was going to protests in New York. And then later when I came to Texas, I was marching here in Texas. And I was like, you know what, but this is what I'm passionate about. This is this cry that Black Lives Matter is the message that we need to be sharing. And I realized in that moment that Sarah weeping for her long lost lover, her lover who was far away, had a similar melody to my yearning and weeping for equity and justice, which seemed so far away. And so I married those two, the bel canto Donizetti, with the passion that was in my heart and the cry for justice. And the result was this music video, To Be Afflicted. It was not a glamorous behind the scenes. I found all of my team on Craigslist or Airbnb.
Wow.
But you couldn't tell that by looking at it, and I was really able to create something that I was passionate about. So
wow. Amazing. And congratulations.
Thank you.
I think that's so inspiring, and should be inspiring to all artists. You know, take it into your own hands. You have the power. Do not wait for permission to practice and produce your art. Do not wait for permission. The time is now. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is the real deal, folks. The real deal. So Brianna, I actually want to ask this question of all of you. Who are some of your musical inspirations, be they classical or not? But then I want you to create for me your mezzo dinner party roundtable with you and 4 mezzo guests, present company excluded. They can be from any era, any color, any genre of mezzodom, but you and your 4 mezzo guests, and then any other mentors or inspirations you have. You're muted.
Oh my God, what a question. Whoa. Okay.
No Googling, Christy.
No, I'm just kidding.
I already know. It's spelling.
I immediately what popped into my brain was Shirley Verrett. I need to know. I have so many questions. Risa Stevens. She's always really fascinated me. I kind of like, I looked a lot to like what she sang, just to get ideas. Simeonata. I'm just like, I just want to, I don't know. These are, and Grace. I mean, it has to be Grace and Shirley. Like, I need them, at the table. I think that they for sure need to be there. I know it might be trite, but
she's there.
Beyonce's at the table. I'm sorry.
Period.
She's there. Mariah already got the letter from Leontine, so I know Leontine's gonna be like, you know what I mean? Like, but Mariah was like growing up. Mariah and Whitney, I'm sure for a lot of everybody, Whitney Houston and Mariah were like the artists of my life. Like, that's what I was singing in the shower in my room when I would like come home from school and just put that little CD on and just holler until dinner time.
That's a fabulous table. So Grace, Shirley,
table.
Risa Stevens, and Giulietta Simeonato. Fantastic. I'll be knocking at your door for a plate for that dinner party. Christy,
okay.
what's your party looking like?
Well, she stole some of my people, but they're coming to my house too. So Verrett, number one. Simeonata, absolutely. Got me in a lot of trouble. Janet Baker.
Oh.
Rochelle Farrell. Fantastic jazz singer, one of the best voices I've ever heard in my life, and her range is crazy. I don't even know if she would be a mezzo. I think she's a mezzo. She's got a great chef. Mignon Dunn, because it will be fun, and she knows how to cook. I'm trying to think. We would start with that, but there's I was trying to think of. She's one of my favorite Russian. I couldn't think. It came when you asked the question. My head went blank. I only see her face, and she does the Sanson Dalila. She does. Oh God, I can't think of it.
Olga Borodina.
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 No, I already worship Borodina, but no.
Elena Obrazova.
I think yes. I'm sorry. Absolutely, Obrazova. And that's
Gotcha.
it for now. I just want I want chest, and I want the grace of Janet Baker, and I want the beauty of Verette at my table. I got to meet her one time, and she was just one of the most loveliest things you could ever see in person.
Yeah, she is fantastic, amazing.
Yeah.
What about you, Crystal? Who's at your table?
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I know Marion, like she just needs to be at the table.
Listen.
Marion Anderson. She needs to be at the table. And of course, Verette, Shirley Verette, Fedora Barbieri, Simeonato, Agnes Balzer. She has to be at my table.
Oh.
I mean, like, she needs to be there. Whitney, she's awesome. She can be at the table. Some of the wine, I mean, I used to listen to the Temptations. Like, I'm the youngest, and there's like a huge age gap. So like, there's like 15 years older than me that I was like rocking out to in the house. So like all those old schools, you know, they would be at my table. But I guess if I had to say the Mezzi, it would be Verette, Fedora Barbieri, Simeonato, Balza. And I love, you know, Obrazova. You know, she's like one of my jams. And so,
Yes,
but
indeed.
yeah,
I love me
I need
some
some
Agnes.
Agnes. I need that belt taken.
What
up
about
to
you,
top.
Melody? You muted yourself.
Well, obviously, Professor Verette is going to be at my table. She's going to be the head of the table. And Fiorenza Cosotto. And yes, love her all day, every day. Christa Ludwig as well. Yes, elegance and grace. Who else would I have? Tatiana Troyanos. I also love Obrazova, and you mentioned Olga. I love her too, Borodina.
Yeah.
There are just so many. It's hard. There are just too many.
Yes,
but all of
indeed.
those
I love
divas.
It. Now,
yes.
Raeanne, tell us.
This girl just stole my whole table. My entire table.
You see, this is why we're family. This is why we're sisters, you see.
Like, I'm going to throw one in and say Lorraine Hunt Lieberson.
Wow.
To bring some soul to my life at the table. But those were my divas. Fiorenza, Christa, and of course, Queen Shirley is of course there. And I'll add Lorraine Hunt Lieberson.
Amazing. Ronita?
I mean, can I add anybody that hasn't been said? I mean, y'all pretty much covered it. Of course, Shirley Verette, Fiorenza Cosotto, that was the one I was waiting for because, man, the Madame Cuivar, that's another one. Also, Olga.
Yes.
I love Stephanie Blythe. Also, just and outside of classical genre, I would definitely have Miss Simone, just because of the depth and the truth of expression, and just like every time my body just quakes because I just love her so much. And Miss Knowles,
yes,
you know, because she's a hard worker. I mean, but
I love it. Now, all of you said Shirley Verette. All of you said Shirley Verette. And I want to go around quickly, and I want you to tell me why. What is it about her? I mean, I have my opinions, but what for you makes her at all of your tables? Let's start with Crystal.
I would have to say the depth with which she sings anything. I mean, the color, the commitment, the ingenuity that she brings to her role, and then just the pure sound. you know,
Yeah.
the pure sound, you know, that it literally rumbles and rolls from within her soul or somewhere, you know. And so for me, that is like the epitome of an artist and of a mezzo. I mean, that sound that's just rolling out of the body. I mean, that for me is, you know, she's top notch. Top notch, and such like she sang with intelligence, and I love that, you know, such commitment to the art and the music, and you know, she just knew who she was. You know, she walked in and she sang her role, and she knew the character. She was married to that character, and then you could hear that in her voice. You could hear it, absolutely.
What about you, Raeanne? Why is Shirley at the head of the table?
I mean, I think she's been I've had the closest relationship to her voice. I felt the most, not in terms of sound, but in terms of trajectory. A lot of times I'm like, if Shirley can do it, I can do it.
Right.
Minus the top soprano end. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Come on, Lady Macbeth.
Shirley... no, Macbeth is happening. Lady Macbeth is happening. That's happening in this lifetime very soon.
Come on.
I'm claiming that. But the rest of it, I don't know about all of that. But she's just been such an inspiration, excellent musicianship, and the technique that is pristine and beautiful, yet just the roar of a lion.
Yeah.
It is insane to have both of those, to be able to have this very pristine, clean sound and also have all the world at your footstool.
Yeah.
And under your control. She's just legend.
What about you, Brianna? Why is Shirley at the table?
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, she's a master class. Just like, she just is top to bottom. Presentation, like everything, you know, Raeanne and Crystal just said too. Her versatility, like the fact that she was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do it well, you know, it was 100% her. Like, she was true to herself doing it. And I just love the breadth of what she's able to do and how well she did it. And I just love watching her and listening to her. She's just, and I think she was also like, you know, she was something that like my mom always loved, you know, like she was close generationally, not that far removed. So like, I don't know, she was like kind of in my universe in a way before I even got into opera. So she's just always been a fave.
Yeah. What about you, Christy?
Everything she does is class is the word that comes up. It's just class. There's nothing out of line. So she's beautiful to look at. She makes wonderful choices. She doesn't, like, I still have so much work to do, but she never lets the voice control her. Yeah. She's always doing everything without having to give everything. Mm-hmm. But I'm still getting so much. But the word that always comes up, I would say classy when I'm in my trash land, but it's class and classic. And she's the top of what I shoot for. Her phrasing is what helps. I try to shoot for some of her phrasing. She just makes solid choices. But it's just a place of, that's what class looks like. That's what, you know what I mean? And it doesn't seem like it's effort.
Yeah. What about you, Melody?
Well, I will echo all of that. I would say poise and grace and elegance and a really humble person, you know. I was lucky enough to have worked with her at University of Michigan, and she was just so kind and so caring. She genuinely cared about her students. And I can't say that so many voice teachers do. The ones that I hear stories about. I think, no, she really genuinely cared about them, wanted them to be successful, wanted to give you every bit of detail she could give you to help you, or a story. So she would say, darling, don't flagellate yourself. I was so hard on myself about everything. And
Yeah.
the best advice that she had given me was, hurry slowly. She said that to me all the time. Hurry
Wow.
slowly. You will sing the same rep that I have sung, but hurry slowly. Sometimes I feel like I am very slow moving in this trajectory, but I'm getting there. But it's nice that we're talking about her, actually, because it's bringing back all these really beautiful memories. But thank you. And I'm glad that she has been so influential to everybody in this group, regardless if you've worked with her one-on-one or not. She's just that kind of, like I said, grace and elegance. That's all.
Yeah. And Ronita? I think you're mute.
I remember hearing her. I think I was at when Tower Records were still a thing.
I mourn for Tower Records.
I mourn for Tower Records too, and I just remember just strolling into the classical room and just pick. I would save up and buy a few CDs, and I remember picking up. I can't remember the title of the album. Blue cover. She's in black and white, and I just turned it. I put it on, and I thought, "Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! What am I hearing?" And every aria was different. She did not box herself. She sang what she wanted. And then I started to watch her. And what I love about not only listening to Shirley Barrett, but watching her, this kernel of intensity that she has when she breathes, just that instantaneous, you can see it. It's like fire between her breath, and her production of sound is just the most electrifying thing to watch for me. The voice is, we don't even need to talk. It's just amazing, but I love to watch her breathe, that magical moment of inspiration. And she's just on it. It's always there. It's always ahead. It's just crackling like electricity. And it's hard to turn away. That's the thing that I just love about her. And oh my God, the voice is just, I could babble on all day.
Just
Right.
out of the
You're right, though.
And you're right, Brian. My money is in Tower and Paddlesons. And Paddlesons is actually where I first met Shirley Barrett. She was in Paddlesons, wrapped in full fur, darling, in Paddlesons. I loved it.
We have to talk sometime, Kenny, about all these fabulous ensembles that she would come to work in. Her leather pants and heels and furs and things. Amazing, amazing. Always together.
I need the ladies to bring all that back. Shirley and Collis, they would do it, honey. They're not stepping out unless they're in full on beat. I live. So this show is also about manifestation. So I want to know what you want out of this career, out of this life. I want to know, is there a role that you have not done that you want to do, that we need to tell the universe, the industry, that they need to mount it for you? What is it you want to do? What do you want to see? Let the children know, let the industry know, let the universe know. What is it? Raeanne, let's start with you, darling.
Oh, man. I've had to update my list because I've been really fortunate and got some of the dream ones first. Like Evoli was always the dream. Leonore in La Favorite was the dream. So now I would say I'm very excited to do Joan of Arc by Tchaikovsky. I want to do Didon et les Troyens. I want to do. I'll let the other ladies.
I love that. Didon. Come on now. And Joan of Arc. I love that. Okay, Christy, what you want to do? Tell the world.
Everybody already knows. My dream role, my favorite role is Emily and Neris. And I literally asked God, I said, if you let me sing it, I don't even care what stage it is, then you can take me out after that. You know, I don't need kids. I don't need anything. Just let me sing those two and you can let me drop right after.
I love it. I love it. Crystal, what you want to sing?
Oh, well, if we're manifesting, okay, let me see. So there's Eboli, there's Leonore and Favorite, there's Joan of Arc, of course. There's Charlotte. I mean, I did it, but I need to run. I need to like be in a run, you know. And then there's Componiste that I would love to do. The Carmen has been postponed. Hopefully it happens. And then there's a beautiful role in La Navarrese by Massonet, Anita, I believe her name is, and it's to die for. I mean, stunning. So, and there are tons of French, but that's like I don't even know how many that was.
That's
but
great.
Okay,
That's great. Let
there.
the folks know. You know, Oprah said something several years ago that stuck with me. She said, when one of your dreams comes true, that's the time to dream another dream. And so let them out. Let them out. What about you, Ronita? What you want to sing, girl?
Well, one of the ones that I've wanted to sing for such a long time finally came true, and then Rona, so tired of Rona, was M. Neris. I've yeah, just because I just love her character. I love the complexity of who she is. She's not just an evil person. Everything she does is motivated by the fact that she is in love with someone that she can't get. And that is an amazing motivation. I also really want to sing Baba the Turk. Can somebody please do the race progress? I just love that neoclassical music so much.
Yeah.
And I'm funny.
Right, exactly. Because I believe Stephanie and Denise were the last two to do it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm like, please, somebody. I know it's kind of, out in left field, but it's just such a good show, and there's so much heart in it. And what I would love to do again, I'm going to manifest this, is I would really love to sing Fides again in Le Prophète, because that role is the hardest thing I have ever set my throat upon.
Yeah.
But it was just, I mean, it's just such a tour de force. It's a really great role, and I am putting it out there. I would love to do it again.
I love it.
Yeah.
Melody, what you want to sing, darling?
Well, I have some of the same desires as my sisters, Christy and Raeanne. So definitely Amneris, Eboli as well, Didon. But lately I've really been in Venus mode. So Venus, really excited about her. Yes.
Come on now. And Brianna, bring it home. What you want to sing, boo?
Oh my God, these are all so good. Yes. Charlotte, Venus, definitely on my list. But she's like down there. I want to do a Prince Charming, a Prince Charmant in Cendrillon. Niklaus, Octavian. I don't get to do the pants role so much, and I kind of I know it's because I don't have like that traditional body, but I don't know. It's just I want to. Let's change that. We can do a production where, you know what I mean, where it looks a little different, maybe. Yeah, those Didon and Troyen. Yeah, all the French stuff.
Fantastic. Now, I hope you heard that, universe. Make it happen. Back in, what they say the golden age of singing was, and I know a lot of the folks don't like to talk about or put a label on that time period, but I just remember every day at the Met, you could see a different superstar. Like Grace is doing, Tosca on Tuesday, and Shirley Barrett's doing Lady Macbeth on Wednesday, and, Price is doing Aida on Thursday, and Martina's doing Vespi Siciliano on Friday. Those were the days. And so with these 6 women right here, we could bring that back. So just get yourselves together, universe, and adorn these women with what they deserve and desire to sing. Now, before we go, ladies, because I've had y'all here for just about 2 hours. It's crazy. It feels like we just started. I have some quick fire questions, some fun questions. And before we get to them, I want to tell everybody about next week's show. Next Monday, the 14th, same time, same place, I am welcoming a whole panel of Black countertenors. And I am so excited because the range of talent and the range of era is really quite astounding. So we're starting with the youngest. One of the young men who I'm so excited about, and people are really starting to take notice of him, is Kimon Murah. Is just so gifted, so gifted. So he's going to be here also with Patrick Daly, who's going to be here, and then a Baroque specialist, Reginald Mobley, is going to be here, and then one of the men that I admire most, who was mentioned on this panel earlier, the great Daryl Taylor, will be here, and I am blown away that I just got the yes from the man who started it all, the great Derek Lee Reagan, is going to be here. The first Black countertenor that turned it into superstardom. And I'm so honored and blessed that he said yes. And so they're all going to be here next week, the 14th at 7 p.m. So tune in for that. All right, ladies, here's some quick fire questions. And we'll go in this order. Let's go Raeanne, and then Crystal, then Ronita, then Christy, Melody, and then Brianna. What is your favorite curse word? And you can say it on our panel.
Oh, wow. Ah. So many Adventist friends and family will be just so disappointed. I will say Scheisse.
Gotcha.
I actually don't use curse word. I don't
Like ever?
I don't.
Never?
Like ever.
Not even in your head?
No.
Really? You're the first person I've ever met. That's amazing.
Sorry.
Okay, Ronita.
I plead the fifth.
What?
I have one, but I don't know who's watching this.
What's the first letter? What's the first letter?
Fetus.
Okay, gotcha. Now, mind you, all of my guests in my 27 shows have answered that question out loud. Even Barbara Hendricks answered it. All right, Christy, and I heard you, so don't even try it.
Okay. Can I do two? Because I perfected it in 7th grade.
Yeah, you can loan one to Crystal.
Shithead bitch. That's 2 words. And then fuck. There we go.
See, now Ronita, you got one, and Crystal, you got one. Okay, Brianna, what's yours?
Fuck. What in the actual fuck?
Right.
Fucking
Yes.
Pretty much. All of it. I love it.
Because it applies to so many things, right? Especially today.
Yeah.
And Melody, what's yours?
Definitely cazzo or che cazzo all the time. All the time.
I love it.
Che cazzo vuoi, che cazzo fai, che cazzo whatever.
Okay, in the same order, other than your own, what is your favorite voice type?
Baritone.
Thank you. Crystal?
I would have to say, like, I don't know, maybe whatever, a rich, full soprano. The ones that sound like mezzos.
Okay. Ronita?
I'm going to say soprano. I don't know because they can do things. And I'm just like, how do you do that? That's so nice. Soprano.
And Christy?
In my next life, I'm coming back as a tenor, but I love dramatic sopranos, real dramatic sopranos.
Okay. Brianna?
Yeah. Soprano, dramatic sopranos.
And Melody.
Either a lirico spinto soprano or dramatic soprano, definitely.
Okay, so all of y'all except Raeanne are just like rude.
I
Like,
know.
do you all have in your careers and lives, just a show of hands, do you have soprano envy? Like, do they get on your nerves because they get the last bow, they get the tenor at the end, or is it just you're not stunting them? Okay.
They can have the tenor. It's okay. They can have the tenor. It's fine.
They can have all that.
I love it. I love it. Okay, same order. Next question. Do you have a celebrity crush?
Oh.
Mhm.
I will watch anything with Matt Damon.
Okay. Hey, how you doing, man?
I don't know. It's a thing. I don't know. It's a thing.
I love it. Crystal, who you liking? Who you liking?
I don't know. My mom always loved watching things with Denzel, so like we grew up watching Denzel, and then we, hey Denzel.
Hey Denzel. Hey Denzel. Ronita, who you liking?
Okay, there are two. What's the guy's name? He was in Watchmen, the show. Did anybody see Watchmen?
Yeah.
I finished it.
The guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and Chris Evans.
Oh, yes.
Do you follow Yaya on Instagram?
Yes, I do. You better believe it.
Follow him.
Flip him.
Yes, I do.
I don't know this Yaya. Okay, I'll
Oh,
look it up.
you need to know Yaya. You need to go on ahead and get your HBO Max subscription. Catch up on Watchmen because
It's worth the fee.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and what's his face from Queen Sugar?
Oh,
You know.
Sirabe, Kofi, yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Christy, who is it?
I have 3, and my husband already knows when they come to the door, don't ask questions. I just need 30 minutes. So, Christopher Hemsworth and Henry Cavill, and then I feel so bad I can't think of his name, but I absolutely am obsessed with him. Have you guys watched Lovecraft Country?
Yeah, Jonathan Majors.
Oh.
He is one of the best things, and he spiritually is such a wonderful thing to listen to his interviews. I have such a huge crush on him right now. My husband, he can get over it. He all right. But that's it.
All right, Brianna.
We have like almost the same exact taste. This is hilarious. I was gonna say Chris Hemsworth and Jonathan Majors are like my two. And Chris Evans though, I've been watching a lot of. I rewatched Captain America and I was like,
His politics are right too. Politics are right.
Yeah. Chris, in that sweater, Knives Out. Yeah.
Oh yes, the fisherman sweater.
Yeah.
I love it. Melody.
I'm flexible. I'm versatile.
It's the spice of life. Who cares?
Tis the spice of life. So I know a little Jason Momoa. Before he was liking the current occupant in the White House, Antonio Sabato Jr. He used to be a Calvin Klein model for underwear. Hot. Who else? Oh, Idris. He is amazing. And I love this. Idris, if you're watching, darling, I'd love to talk to you. Mwah.
I love it. So it's safe to say that if you were doing Samson and Delilah, if you could turn Idris into a tenor, that you'd be all right with that.
Absolutely.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, next question. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt and would you never want to attempt? Raeanne.
I think something like a marine biologist or somebody who's working with animals. I love animals a lot. If any of you know, I travel everywhere with my wonderful Cora, my little schnoodle. What would I never want to do? Accounting. I barely survived accounting. I would never be an accountant.
I love it. Crystal.
It would definitely have to be something with geology. I love the study of the earth, of soil. I love working with my hands in that manner. Something that I wouldn't want to do. Oof. I don't know. I don't think I would want to be the people who burn trash. I mean,
Yes.
because I just, yeah.
Yes. Gotcha. Ronita.
I would want to be a research scientist or
Russell, you are nuts.
or a pilot. I
Oh,
love the science of flight. I really, really, really love the science of
okay.
flight. I would not want to be an accountant, like at all. Like at all.
Okay.
I respect money, and I respect it enough to let somebody who loves to handle it, and yeah, to let them do their thing. You had that. Have fun. Yeah.
Christy.
I would be an anthropologist, and I would love to be one of those people that did like the interviews on History Channel where they were in the pearl necklace. What I wouldn't want to do is be an archaeologist because I don't want to get dirty. So they can bring me the artifact after it's been cleaned off, and I can tell them how it works and how, you know, society utilized it or what have you, and that's it. No dirty.
Okay. Brianna.
I want to be an archaeologist or a paleontologist. I like Egyptologist. I want to get in the dirt and like dig up the dinosaur bones or the artifacts or explore the new pyramids. I want to do it. I'm getting dirty.
You should have
Wow.
our own History Channel. We'll have our own History reality
So
channel.
Christy and I are going to have our own show. I'm going to dig this stuff up and she's going to tell you about it. And the job I would not want to do is a chemist of any kind. I would be terrible at that. And I would feel so nervous that I was going to mess it all up because I was real bad at chemistry, y'all.
Okay, Melody.
I would like to, as I said earlier, be a UN translator or someone who is in like urban development, specifically in renewable energy, because that actually was the track that I was on before I applied to grad school. And thing I definitely would not like to do, people on this panel that know me a little bit, you all know that I'm a little OCD. So wastewater management.
Okay.
Not doing it. Not doing it. No.
Okay. Next question. What kind of a girl are you? Breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, or dessert?
Breakfast all day long.
Okay.
Oh, wait, and breakfast with dessert afterwards. I didn't know dessert was an option.
Yes.
I love to eat, so I would say brunch to get in the breakfast and the lunch, and then I would throw in dinner and the dessert.
Okay. I love it. Ronita.
I'm gonna say a dinner girl because I love to cook for people, and there is something so wonderful about seducing someone with food. For real. Like just the whole experience of the smell, textures, and
Yes.
and serving up a nice dessert, some wine. Oh yeah, dinner girl.
Okay. Christy.
Everybody knows I love sweets and treats, so I'd be a dessert girl.
Brianna.
Breakfast.
Okay. And Melody.
Definitely dinner. Please give me truffles and no mushrooms. Thank you.
See, I like breakfast food, just not at breakfast time. Like, I don't do morning. I can't eat.
Was that a stipulation? Because I'm
no.
eating breakfast all day. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like pancakes at midnight, I'm all for it. You know, that's great. That's great. I love it. Now that I have all of you gorgeous Black women on here, I just want to throw in another question before my last question. What does the election and appointment of Madam Vice President Kamala Harris mean to you?
I mean, one of the most beautiful gifts that you can give to a young girl is the gift of representation. And I think it's just such a beautiful thing to see a Black woman with so much responsibility and so much power. And so I myself am extremely progressive, but I will never miss an opportunity to celebrate the success of a Black woman.
Fantastic. Crystal?
For me, it's a beautiful symbol of hope, and potential. I would say hope and potential, because to have a woman in that position that looks like you, we're talking about Black girls, Black and brown, that instills a lot of hope and wonder and exploration, and so that leads to the releasing of the potential of one so young. And I feel like that hope and that potential together has the power to release greatness. And so for me, it's this spiraling, this unfolding of just this wealth of beauty and grace and greatness and excellence. That is us. That is possible. That is the world. So yeah.
Yeah. Ronita?
I think it's fantastic that we have a Black and Asian woman as a VP, the future VP of the United States. And I have hope with reservation. She was definitely not my first pick, but no, she wasn't. Yeah. Because I think she would be a great AG, but she is the vice president, which is even better. I think it is far beyond time to have a woman in that position. And it is magnificent that she is both Black and Asian. So you have like really two huge demographics that have representation in the second highest office in the land. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So I'm excited to watch and see what happens. And yeah.
Christy?
It's nice to have someone in this position that we don't have to explain what Black women go through. I like to call it, I stole it from someone, it's like an interruption, or not obstruction, but it's interruption from us just doing what we want to do, and having to persevere because of all of the external things we have to go through just to get to where we want to go to. So we wouldn't have to explain that to her. And also, I love that she seems unapologetically strong. I might not agree with everything politically, but I love that she doesn't back off from this, whatever this strong Black woman persona is or whatever. She's not afraid of that. I love that she's from Howard. She went to Howard. I love that she gets it. She'll get it,
Yeah. Brianna?
Yeah, all of these things, representation, just the potential, the fact that a whole generation of girls will see this and grow up in this world the way that, my niece and nephews grew up with Barack Obama as their president. It's not, it's manifestation, kind of like how we were like, hey, what are the roles we want to do? Like, here we go. It's a manifestation of such and it's so late in the game, especially compared to other countries. But hey, there's that one glass ceiling that we got through, and it's a big one. And I'm really excited also to see what she does. And I love how she just handles the public eye. Like, exactly. I may not agree with everything, but the way that she just sticks to who she is. I will admire her all day long. So go Kamala.
Melody?
absolute hope and admiration for her and what she's done and how she doesn't, as you said, Ronita, back off, or whoever said that. I think it was Ronita. And, the first thing I thought of when you asked this question was exactly what Brianna said. It's great for us because we have someone that we can look at as a representation of us as for Black and Asian people. But more importantly, I think about my friends and their children and that they have someone to look up to. And that's amazing because we knew it was coming. We would eventually get there, the US. I believed in us. I knew we could do it eventually. But it's really fantastic to know that kids in school that are learning about government can actually see people, not only the vice president, but heads of these offices that have never been people of color before and have something to aspire to be. That is so powerful.
Yeah.
With that, we are limitless, really. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm so very excited, and especially to see that they're appointing so many women to all of these other chief White House positions. It's just a glorious thing to see, and it's interesting too that the countries that are handling this hideous virus the best are headed by women. It's just it's like a no-brainer to me, and so I'm looking forward to civility and common sense and some forward motion. And again, the representation aspect of it is phenomenal. Like all of you represent to so many girls who are coming up looking like you and saying and thinking and believing and knowing I can do that because Raeanne and Ronita and Crystal and Christy and Melody and Brianna did it and are doing it. And you all are doing it beautifully and with grace and style and individuality and excellence. That, for me, speaks so loudly. It's done with excellence. And I'm honored to call you my sisters. I support you. I believe in you. I want to work with all of you over and over and over and over again. So my last question, and when I end the broadcast, ladies, don't sign off. I want to thank you off the air as well. My last question is, if heaven exists, what do you want to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Woo. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Is that God saying wow? Like, oh, wow, you made it here?
I guess you're saying... No, I mean, like, I guess maybe, like, finally you sorted it out.
Wow. Okay. Crystal, what you want to hear him say?
I would love to hear him say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." That I lived a life of import. That I lived a life that's, of Him, of Christ. That I was, a vessel, and that I allowed His presence and His being to flow and to be present in me and everything I do.
Okay, I love it, Ronita.
First, I want to say that I love that you asked an Inside the Actor Studio question.
I love it.
I just love it. I love it. Number two, I am going to say the same answer that I saw someone say, and it just made me cry. And I would like to hear, I understand. Welcome.
Wow.
Take your rest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whew, Christy.
See, I told you I wasn't going to leave you. That's what I
Gotcha.
wanted to say to me.
I love it. Brianna.
I want him to say, come in and meet your ancestors.
Ooh.
And all your loved ones that you've lost. They're here and you get to hold them again.
Wow. Melody.
I think I'd want him to say, you've passed the test. Welcome to real life.
I love it. Okay, I love it. And one of my favorite answers that a guest gave Barbara Hendricks. She said, I want to hear him say, choir rehearsals in 30 minutes. Go get your robe. I love that answer so much. So much. She said it without hesitation. Choir rehearsals in 30 minutes. Go get your robe. I love it. Well, ladies, thank you for spending now over 2 hours with me. I adore you, and I'm cheering for you and all of your successes. And just keep shining and keep being great, because the world needs it. It needs your energy. It needs your womanness. It needs your blackness. It needs your excellence. It needs your voice. It needs all of you. And thank you for hanging with me. And thanks to all the guests out there watching and rocking with me. And don't forget, next week, I have the countertenors with me. But in the meantime, take care of yourself and each other. God bless. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.